Hi, good morning everyone. It's Tuesday morning and it's Leanne Boyd for another edition of Cuppa Courage Tips. And it's a really cold, windy, rainy day today. And so here with my nice warm cuppa, ready to take you on a little bit of a science journey today through epigenetics. So thanks for those who have joined me. So let's just talk about what epigenetics actually is. So we've been traditionally taught that we are the way we are because of our natural genes, okay? That's how we've been taught, and we've also been taught that we are the way we are because of the way we've been raised or nurtured. So so I'm kind of almost going to flip that on its head today with what I have to tell you. Science in the past has informed us that we are a product of our gene pool. We are the way we are because of the way our genes have been. So modern science, though, however, is now proving that this is not totally the case. We are inheriting more than just our physical traits, our blue eyes or our knobbly knees or whatever you have, the shape of your nose, the shape of your face. We're inheriting more than that. We're also inheriting our emotional traits as well. We are inheriting stress and traumas from our past generations, things that they've experienced. You know, I'm not talking about past lives here because not everyone believes in past lives. We're talking about your actual DNA. So this is what we call now the science of epigenetics, okay? Epigenetics has more influence over our genes than we first thought, okay? So your DNA is wrapped around proteins called histones, and so much information is stored there in your DNA. It spools around your DNA. It's stored in every cell. There's about 3 meters of wrapped around every cell. There's 3 billion pairs of information stored on that 3 meters inside the nucleus of every cell. Imagine that. It's kind of mind-blowing when you go into it like that. It is very mind-blowing. What's also mind-blowing is the fact that you were actually here 2 generations before you actually physically walked the earth. Stop and think about that. Like, that's really kind of a bit out there, but you were, because you were the cell inside your mother, inside the womb of your grandmother. So the moment that your mother was conceived, inside your grandmother, then inside your mother was also her eggs and her cells, and so that was you. So inside your mum, inside your grandmother. So you were actually here, in a way, 2 generations before you actually got to physically walk the earth. So yeah, it's really sort of out there, isn't it? But it's true. So epigenetics tells every cell in your body what to do and what part it plays in your body. So this is known as the methylation and epigenetic tags, methylation tags. So this can be altered by our negative and our positive experiences and passed down through generation to generation. It activates genetic changes, okay, and changes the genetic codes that are activated within our body. So what we emotionally and physically experience in our life, or our past generations have experienced, actually can affect our own DNA and genetic coding, okay? So what if your emotional issues, the things you experience today, are not your issues? They have been passed down. What if your issues are not even issues of your lifetime? So let me share a little story with you. You know, at the time that I was pregnant with my second child, my first daughter, it was a moment of really quite immense sadness for me. My dad had passed. My sister was diagnosed with cancer. My nephew was diagnosed with cancer. I actually had a miscarriage before I conceived my first daughter, and the trauma around my father's passing kind of went on for about 6 months because he didn't really have good medical treatment at the end, so I needed to do something about that. I felt that so no other family had to go through what we went through, so there was lots of stress and sadness and trauma really around that whole episode of my life. And also, you know, our year finished with 2 funerals in the same day, just before Christmas. So it was ongoing sadness throughout that year. And then the following year, I was working as a cabin crew member, flight attendant for Ansett Airlines, and we all know how that ended up. It went belly up and collapsed, and there was a real sense of grieving for quite a number of years. I've been working for the company for 14 years at that stage, and there was quite a long time of grieving for me. So in amongst that, I conceived my first daughter, but I was very sad during her whole pregnancy. I was happy that I was pregnant, but I had that grief and sadness that I was carrying with me all that time. And so she was born, but as she grew and as she developed, I noticed that the slightest little thing that she was that happened around her, she would have tears streaming down her face, and sometimes she would come to me and say, "I don't even know why I'm crying, Mum. It's just the tears are just coming." Excuse me. And I said, oh gosh, I thought to myself, oh gosh, she has inherited my sadness and my emotions while she was in my womb. So that was quite a revelation to me. So when you have feelings of, you're not good enough, or, why is this happening to me? Or, all these emotions, that anxiety, fear of the future, and all of these emotions, they're not necessarily yours. You may have brought them through. They've come through from your great-grandmother, your grandmother, your mother. They've researched as far back as 4 generations that this is an occurrence, that we actually bring our emotions forward through generation to generation. So this brings the thought. So what if all these underlying causes of what makes you perceive things the way you do, and the choices that you make, what if they're from your ancestors? What if they're not even yours? They've been passed down to you through your DNA. So, for instance, I often think, what if my ancestors, through generations and centuries ago, I'm a naturopath and creatrix transformologist and reflexologist. So I've gone down the natural medicine path, the holistic path to being the best way that you can be, both emotionally and physically. So what if my ancestors were that many, many years ago, centuries ago even, and they were suppressed and persecuted and burned at the stake because herbalists and natural therapists and women were suppressed that way, just through trusting their own instincts and their own intuition. So after I've done all the work that I've done at a subconscious level, and I don't have those issues anymore, I've kind of maybe come the full circle and gone back to that again, and gone back to how maybe my ancestors were generations ago, and now I'm back doing natural medicine for women again. So you are your own individual, but you're also a version of your past generations. You are your past generations having experiences now. So it may take a little bit to think about that, but that's how you are now. So perhaps you've seen patterns you've seen patterns in behavioural patterns in families, and maybe you've seen it in your own family. You may have had deja vu moments where you've been saying words that perhaps your mother had said, or doing actions, or maybe you recognise patterns in yourself that your mother had, both good and bad. So science is now proving that you're inheriting your mental and your emotional issues and behaviours, as well as your physical traits. So that's what the science of epigenetics is. So perhaps your intense fear of the unknown, your anxiety, your fear of the future, the unexpected, the unpredictable, the uncertainty that you may be experiencing. Whatever it is for you, it's been paid forward from past generations. It may have been paid forward. And, past generations wore your genes before they got to you. They may have experienced trauma, maybe shocking experiences even, and had unresolved issues and suppression. And these have all been brought forward to how you are today. So, and in the scientific realm too, I just might want to add this, that science has really been revolved around men of creative science. They've tested on male castrated mice. There's a few female scientists out there now, but they've been trained by men. All our emotional processes, psychiatry, psychology, NLP, counselling techniques, they've mainly been formulated by men. So, and the way men think. So then that's why a lot of the time it's not long lasting and it doesn't really reach our core, because women and men think differently, and everything has been revolved around the way men think. So the way, when I mentioned the process that I use, it's been formulated, it's called Creatrix, and it's been formulated by a woman, for women, and the way women think, which is an extra bonus for us. It really gets down to the core issues within our thinking and within our emotional issues, and it disconnects us. Our Creatrix that I use, it disconnects you from your inherited issues during the process, so you can disconnect subconsciously from anything that you've brought forward, anything that you've been emotionally feeling, and as a result of this, you are set free from your current emotional issues. Your health may improve. You have a renewed sense of hope and faith and trust within yourself and those around you, and trust within everything that you're doing. Your potential is opened up to new possibilities because you're not bogged down by the issues that you've been experiencing and the negativity, and you experience a new kind of liberated emotional freedom, if you like. You have released all those current issues that you have and all of the emotional issues that you may have brought forward. So there is a cell biologist called Bruce Lipton, okay, and he has been teaching for 3 decades about cell biology, and he's now been researching into the science of epigenetics, and our gene expression is actually being controlled by our environment. This is what he's found. So our environment really influences our genetic code. So if we change our perception of the environment that we're in, that's when we have the ability to change our gene expression and our genetic code. So we are comprised of 50 trillion cells. So every cell is like a citizen inside a very large community inside our body. And when we're influenced by our environment, our emotional issues, our negative and physical issues, then the leadership of that cell group is thrown off, okay? And there becomes an unease in all our cellular structure, and this is where dis-ease can come in. Okay, this is where we get our states of disease. Our illnesses are not necessarily programmed in our genes. They may be a product of how we perceive our own environment. So that gives us hope that we have the ability to change our own gene expression and therefore our own emotional freedom, we can move our emotional issues into our emotional freedom. We can change our physical issues by changing perhaps the way we perceive our environment. So there is lots and lots of hope in that. So it's important for us to keep our environment as healthy and as possible, because it's important for our survival. So, as I mentioned before, the process I use for women's emotional issues goes straight to the leadership of the way that we perceive our environment, our emotional and our physical environment. And the process includes that epigenetic clearing. So we go back for as far as 3 and 4 and maybe even further generations to clear out all that crap that's been brought through. You know, you have to go through to the root cause of all those generational patterns to be able to make long-lasting change. You know, all the processes out there, the psychology, the psychiatry, the NLP, they all have their place, but they are subconscious mind processes that and even, you know, you might do workshops or seminars or read self-help books, but they're just skimming the surface, if you like. You know, you can do activities and they make changes, sure, and we feel better short term, but we really need to get down to the root cause and delve right down into the core issues of our core center of our issues, down into the subconscious mind where we store all our emotions. So getting to the core and changing that environment within the core through the process that I use is where true change will happen. Your habits will change, your behavior will change. You know, you can't just keep skimming the surface of your issues and expect long-lasting change. You have to get down to where all the sludge is and clear that sludge out. You know, if you keep it there, you just keep sinking into it every time you get an emotional trigger. So you may be triggered negatively, and you will get taken right back, and you'll keep going and recurring and creating those patterns over and over again. So there we have it. So I hope that is an explanation of what epigenetics is. So if you have any questions about, any further questions about that, or any questions about how I can help you, then reach out to me. Comment below, comment in a PM. I can put a link below this live where you can reach out to me and book in for what I call an emotional wake-up call, and we can delve down into the patterns that you're experiencing and the emotional issues that you're experiencing and work out why you are having these limiting beliefs or self-sabotaging patterns, and get down to the core of the issue, and then from there work to help you make changes in a positive way so you can move forward in your life and live your life the exact way you can. So I hope that's been helpful for you. That's it for me for this week for Cuppa Courage Tips and my little talk on the science of epigenetics and how it can open up doors for you and help you move forward in life. So that's it for me, Leanne Boyd. Everything I do is designed to help you. So that's it for me for next week, for next Tuesday until 10:30. So have a great week and I'll see you then. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Bye.